Hello everyone, welcome back to Wesley's Event Center. Before we go to the character description, I'd like to give a short PSA for everyone who's interested in rolling for Nemesio. If you have not rolled on your starter banner, you just started playing this game and is asking the question, what should I spend my pack stones on? And you decided you want to get Nemesio, then I would recommend you to roll on this banner. Because it has a few characters that are quite good but is not immediately available on the original banner. To elaborate, rolling on this banner doesn't have a guaranteed character. You will not get a guaranteed Nemesio on your 17th stone consumed. But you will, however, have a chance to get his lore voucher on 9 of the 10 roll that you do, because the 10th one is guaranteed to be a character. Now in this banner, you can also get Nemesio, Yan, and Su, which is not immediately available on the starter banner. So only roll on this banner if you are interested in those characters. If you're not interested in any of those characters, and all you want to do is to get Nemesio, there's a better, cheaper, and more Black Dragonstone efficient way of getting him, which is by buying his packs in the shop. To get access to this pack, all you have to do is to go to the supply, go to the colorful pack section on the time limited sale, and you'll see 2 of his packs, one in White Dragonstone, one in Black Dragonstone. The one in the White Dragonstone has a little bit of a better value as it equates to 160 Black Dragonstone, but otherwise the content is the same. And you get one voucher with a, I'd say 10-20% chance of getting another voucher, or getting some of the rest of these items, which are quite useful and not very useful. But all you want to focus on is the voucher. So when you buy 80 of these, you will get 80 of the voucher, which will mean you'll be able to get Nemesio. But of course, because you might be able to get extra voucher, I recommend you to buy it 20 by 20, 10 by 10, just so that you don't get like 81 packs and you waste one of them. This buying Nemesio this way costs you roughly at max 16,000 Black Dragonstone, which is around 4,000 Dragonstone cheaper than the average super rare characters, making Nemesio the 3rd cheapest super rare to get after Turing and Mirror, which are free. Now let's talk about Nemesio's character.
I shall get back!
Nemesio is one of the best characters which can single-handedly clear every PvE content in this game with ease. He will make you farm dungeons in turbo mode, and he doesn't require that much investment other than the usual runes and enhancements. Now let's talk about Nemesio's skill. He has 2 extremely important skills, and you only need to really know in depth about one of them, which is his mastery. Nemesio's mastery makes him start the battle with 3 stacks of buffs. The buffs increases his damage and it scales with his mastery. Every time he gets hit by a single target attack, he will lose 1 stack. This single target attack includes damage overtime ticks, and it does not include AoE damage. This is very important to know, mostly for PvP. Because you'll want to hit him during his vulnerable turn, which is the first turn. After Nemesio gets the chance to act, it's very likely he's going to begin it with his 2nd skill, Reign of Fangs. Using this makes Nemesio channel for 2 turns, going invincible and dealing damage to all enemies. In this skill, he has one of the most important passive unlock that makes the character change and becomes even better than usual, and that is his Charged Fang. It makes his skill deals shared damage, which means that whatever he will deal to 4 damage for enemies, when there are less than 4 of them, that excess damage will be dealt to the remaining enemies. Meaning that if there's only 1 enemy left, he will deal 4 times the normal damage. And the best part of this is that it considers a boss as being 1 out of 4 enemies in the game. Meaning that when Nemesio is fighting just 1 bosses, like the encounters that you get in World Boss, he is pretty much dealing 4 times damage every single turn, which is why his damage is really crazy good in World Bosses. And because this skill is his bread and butter skill, you might want to invest in a Sharp Fang, which simply just increases his damage by 15%. Nemesio's attack is something that you're not going to be using that often, so this passive is clearly entirely up to you whether you want it or not. Nemesio's third ability gives him a one-time damage up stack for his next ability, and also granting him 1 extra stack of his mastery. This is what makes Nemesio's damage able to ramp up really fast over time. And because of that, the most important aspect of the skill is to unlock the third passive, which simply grants him an additional stack of his mastery, meaning that he'll be able to reach full mastery stack on turn 6. For the other 2, it's not really that important, and you don't really need to invest in it to make Nemesio the effective wave clearing machine that he is, which is why Nemesio is easy to invest in, because it'll only cost you at minimum 300, at best 600 insights to make him really good. Now, to showcase his skill, I will show you how he performs in PvE farming content, because I think that's where he shines the most. For that, I'm gonna use the hardest, unquote, hardest PvE farmable content we have right now, which is Dark Flux 11, and I will just start this fight in auto. And you will see how fast this goes. Now, while you see how fast the battle goes in the background, I'm gonna go through a little bit more on how he functions right now with the state of PvE and PvP. In terms of PvE, he is an absolute madman in AoE damage. He's also an absolute madman in single target DPS when you unlock his shared damage passive. Because he goes invincible, he is less likely to be targeted by mechanics from the boss or the enemies, which makes him a little bit less of a burden for your healers. This might change in 1.8 as they're making AoE attacks able to damage invincible unit. However, we don't know whether this change will affect PvE or not, so I'm refraining from commenting further on that. Now, in terms of PvP, however, Nemesio is not the powerhouse that he used to be anymore. He's a little bit weak because he's very vulnerable to turn 1 CC, which is now very rampant in Arena with characters like Raiko, Yan, Rupor, and Rita. Which means that if he's CC'd, he's pretty much useless, very likely dead too, because he's very squishy. He has no damage control simply because all he does is AoE like a madman, making it so that he's pretty much just giving free rage to the enemy units. He is weak to damage over time because the initial hit of the skill and the tick of the damage over time will mean that he will lose 2 stacks of his mastery. However, looking at the bright side, if he is left untouched if Nemesio is left untouched while the enemy team is starting to lose one of their member, it can spiral really fast because that shared damage can take your enemy by surprise. His best synergy in PvP content would be Miles, only if Nemesio is the fastest ally on your team, because then Miles will conveniently make him invincible on turn 1, making it so that he's very less likely to be targeted by anything on the first turn, unless if the enemy uses something like Linhu or Bernard. In terms
I shall get back!
In terms of weapon upgrade, he really just used the bread and butter ranged DPS build, which is 2 dex, 2 mastery, and crit rate plus crit rate or crit rate plus crit damage, to your preference. Some people might want to put speed if they are PvPing with Nemesio. I personally don't use Nemesio for PvP, and I only use him for PvE, which is why I give him dex. If you see how low some of the stats are on my roll, it's because I haven't enhanced him since weapon level 11. But he is still doing tons of damage. In terms of the character himself, according to some of the moderator team from the Discord, they say that he is one of the most handsome character in the game when not shadowed, and when he transforms, he becomes one of the hottest character in the game. Some of them have said that he is one of the GYEE character with the best exposed chest in his 2D art. Some might say he's a little bit too exposed because there's a hole in his chest. So I'd say one of the pros of the character is he has the third hole for purposes. However, might be a bit difficult to motorboat him because there's that giant hole in his chest. In terms of story, he has one of the best stories in this game too. If you want to read a story about a bittersweet romance, Nemesio's story is probably the one you want to go to. And with that, I would like to conclude my Nemesio review. And my verdict is that he is one of the best DPS for PvE, and also have one of the most simplest yet efficient kit that just makes him deal damage non-stop. If you are interested in Nemesio, his banner is available right now. Please keep in mind of the tips that I've given you in the beginning of this video, because resources in this game is really scarce. If you have any questions regarding Nemesio or his banners, feel free to ask in the comment section below and I will answer your questions. Or you can message us in the official English Discord, and the moderator team, along with any of the member of the community, would be more than glad to help you. And with that, I'm Asher from Wesley's Event Center. Thank you for tuning in to the end of this video, and I'll see you on the next review.
I don't think all my dead brothers would recognize me now. Take it off? No, I don't want to scare you. Wonder how much time I have left.